everybody. We're just getting set up here, getting ready for our First Generation Family Orientation live Q&A. Thank you for viewing the premiere of First Generation Family Orientation 2024. Do know that you can go back, if you're here joining us on the First Compass YouTube channel, you can go back and view that premiere at any time. We're also going to be uploading some of the different segments to our YouTube channel, so you definitely want to give us a subscribe so that you are notified whenever those uploads take place. So again, my name is Darren Jackson. I am the Assistant Director in the Office of Undergraduate Education. I am a UT Dallas alumnus. I graduated from here in 2015, which seems weird because that's about to be 10 years ago. But I was just sharing with some of the families that, and like I said in the video, although the buildings are newer and you do love to see it, the first gen experience has largely remained the same. Minus the introduction of first generation student programs, I often say that I wish I had this type of support when I was a student. And I'm sure every first generation student who has graduated feels the same way. And that's why this is such a cool job, because I get to support the next generation of first generation students. Truly, the only difference between me and the students watching at home and the students in here is I was born in the late 1900s. I was born in 1993. I just started sooner. But feel free to, you can reach out to us, firstgen@utdallas.edu. Feel free to email me. Like we said in the premiere, there's no such thing as a silly question. I will answer anything from where is the best place to eat on campus? How long is the food going to be top tier? To, hey, I'm thinking about going to graduate school and I'm not sure where to start. Or I have a question about a policy. Or there's some weird jargon that I don't understand. That is why we're here. So I want to turn it over now to our interim Dean of Undergraduate Education, fellow first generation college graduate, earned her PhD from UT Dallas here, Dr. Courtney Brickane.
Perfect, thank y'all so much, and I'll just ask my panelists to go ahead and join me up here on stage. Thank you for that introduction, Derek. It has been nice speaking with you all this morning. Thank you so much for coming. We tell our students that the most important first step you can take in the success of your journey is showing up, and that's what you've all already done today, so congratulations on that. Okay, I'm going to get the panel started with just some brief introductions to our panelists. But as Derek said, my name is Courtney, and I'm a first generation graduate myself. And I do owe a lot of that to the familial support that I had going through my journey and the network that I cultivated during my undergraduate career. So I hope, if anything, we've made you feel supported and loved and appreciated for your choice to come to UT Dallas today, and that you can come to us for anything that you might need. All right, we'll start with Greg. Sorry, go ahead and introduce yourself. Got your mic. Sorry, I'm passing.
Hello. Hi everyone, my name is Rexar. I am a second year student starting this semester. I'm a neuroscience undergrad student, so any questions I'm here to answer.
Hi everyone, I'm Olivia Guerra and I work at the Center for Brain Health, which is affiliated with UTD. I have over 20 years of experience working with first gen students, so I'm really excited to be here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Julie. I work in the bursar's office here at UT Dallas. I have 2 daughters, and between the 2 of them, they have 3 degrees from UT Dallas.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kim Calvert Gibson, and right now I'm the interim director of advising in engineering and computer science. I am a first generation student as well, so it's lovely to have you all here today.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Metz. I'm the Assistant Director of Financial Counseling here at UT Dallas, and I have a big passion for helping people get through the financial experience. I'm here to answer any of those questions, and 3 out of my 4 parents graduated from UTD.
Hi everyone, my name is Selena Brody. I am a faculty member in the School of Behavioral and Brain Sciences and professor of instruction in psychology. And I'm also an associate director for the Center for Teaching and Learning, so I get to work with our faculty across campus to help them better support you. I also grew up right around the corner in Richardson. I went to Richardson schools, and my husband actually just graduated with his doctorate from UTD yesterday. Oh my gosh.
Listen to this panel, y'all. This is so exciting. All these little tidbits. Some trivia. Selena, since you have the mic. The first kind of prepared question that we have for you is a lot of first generation students aren't aware of the possibilities of graduate school. What advice do you have for families when they're considering graduate school together as a family? I know I remember the moment when I was first working with a really high achieving student at the university, and I learned that students can go straight from their undergraduate degree into a PhD. I didn't know that, and it blew my mind, and y'all better believe I definitely keep that as an option for all my students moving forward. If you could share a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Like Derek said earlier, I wish somebody had told me some of the things when I was a student that I now know, and try to tell my students if they're considering graduate school. And so I'll start with like a little short story that when I was an undergraduate student, I did what my parents told me to do, which was kind of keep your head down, work really hard, get good grades. Is that familiar to anyone in here? So I did that, and I thought I followed everything I was supposed to do. I got the good grades, I worked really hard. And then when it came time to go to graduate school, I realized that I had to ask faculty members for letters of recommendation. And my reasoning was I did exactly what I was supposed to do. I got the good grades, I showed up, I did what I was, in the first row. And I remember going to my introduction to psychology professor, so that's the class I teach now, and I loved the class so much. It changed my life. And I went and I asked her, I would like you to please write me a letter of recommendation. I got one of the few A's in this class of 400 students, and I thought, for sure, since it had changed my life, that she would do that. And she said something that really kind of broke my heart. She said, I don't know who you are, and how can I write you a letter of recommendation? Ouch. Yeah, it was devastating to me. And so my whole life path that was determined on being supported by this faculty member was almost completely derailed by this no. Now I had somebody else who heroically came to my rescue and wrote the letter, and I actually was a person who went straight from undergrad right to a doctoral program. But I almost didn't, right? Because if I didn't have that third letter, I wouldn't have gone anywhere. I don't even know what I would have been doing, right? This is the thing I'm supposed to be doing, I feel like. And so when you're thinking about graduate school, I always tell students, you don't want to have a time machine when you're a senior about to graduate. You have to develop these relationships from the minute you start classes. And so now I think about telling my students the relationships you develop are as important, if not more important, than the grades you're going to get in the class. Just because a class changes your life does not mean your professor knows enough about you to be able to vouch for you to say that you can handle it, that you're going to be great. And so I have lots of suggestions for you that we can talk about later, about ways that you can get to know your faculty member. Research is one of the important ways, and so I had a parent ask me, how can students get involved in research? We have research match portals here at UTD where you develop a profile to be able to work with a faculty member. It's not something you have to do the very second you get started here. Start with going to office hours, getting to know your faculty members, talking to them, because every time I know a student by name and something comes up, I send them a little message. Hey, this sounds like something you might be interested in. I'm working on this project. I'm writing a book chapter. Would you like to work with me? That's all from relationships, not from anything else. And so I would really encourage you to take advantage of those kinds of opportunities. I run a program called the Short-Term Working Group Program, where faculty offer projects that you can work on just 4 sessions. And you get to know them in these 4 sessions so that they'll write you a really strong letter. And so it doesn't have to be you have to commit 10, 20 hours a week to undergraduate research, then that's great too. There are so many ways to plug in if you're a busy, hardworking student. That's enough monologuing for me.
That's beautiful monologue. Thank you so much. Now, you will hear a central theme among our panelists, okay? So keep an eye out for it. Relationships is the number one, and asking questions and putting yourself out there. Now, UT Dallas naturally attracts a more introverted and academic-centric student. So as you hear us encouraging you to go to office hours, to meet with your advisor, if you're killing it, it is so easy to be like, but I don't need that. But Selena, as she reminded you all, it's important to go to office hours even if you don't have questions about the course content, right? Just to establish those relationships early in your career. Because when it's year 3 and you're getting ready to apply to graduate school, you want someone who can write you a quote-unquote strong letter of recommendation, right? That's not 2 sentences about the grade you earned in the class, but about who you are as a person and what type of potential you possess as a possible graduate student at your next program. I mean, that's the biggest kind of underlying theme here for sure. I was just giving you a hard time about that this morning. It is difficult to go. You might think it's super awkward, but Selena said she gets paid to monologue for a living. Do you know what faculty love to do? Talk about themselves. A quick Google gives you your intro question to get to know them in those office hours, okay? We can even work on that together in a one-on-one appointment. All right, the next question, Sarah, I'll turn it over to you next. Financial aid is always, as you can imagine, our most valued person. She will get a lot of questions and she will stay a little bit after the panel to answer more of your questions as well, because finances is most important to ensure that you have a secure journey here at the institution. All right, Sarah, what are some general ways financial aid office can help students search for a secure funding beyond just the financial package maybe you're awarded through TASPA or FAFSA?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is that when you complete your FAFSA or TASPA, we are looking at prior year data. So we're looking at 2022 for this upcoming year. And we know that a lot can change in that 2-year period. So if you have financial circumstances that have changed, we have a process that can reevaluate your current finances and make sure that we're providing you with as much financial aid that we are able to. If what we give you is not enough, then there are a couple other options for you to look into. Scholarships definitely being a big one. Of course, the scholarships for this current year have already closed, but the majority of those departmental and endowed scholarships that are open across majors and schools typically open like February or March. So start looking at that list now. Get together the scholarships that you want to apply for, so when they open for next year, you're ready to submit those applications along with any essays or anything else that those scholarships are requiring. On top of that, there are other options for student loans. For dependent students, parents, you have the option of taking out a Parent Plus loan, which is a governmental loan in the parent's name to help cover costs all the way up to cost of attendance, which includes your housing, your meals, your transportation. You can also borrow from third-party lenders, so private education loans are also an option. And we do have a list of lenders on our website as well as a search engine so you can find the best fit for you.
That's great, Sarah. So it's really important to note, as you saw in the video earlier, if you didn't make note of it, every student and every family has an assigned financial aid counselor at the university who you can directly contact, okay, who is your designated contact. So if you do have an employment change in your family, a significant medical issue that maybe dramatically affected your finances, do not hesitate to reach out to see if that could be something that they could consider to adjust your financial aid package. Scholarships, the pro tip was scholarships for the next fall semester will open very early in the spring term, okay? So students, what does that mean this fall? You might need to be working on as part of that, not just good grades, not just working on your essay, going to the writing center on campus. What's something else that we've already talked about? Letter of recommendation, okay. So here you go, again, you see the theme starting to emerge, it's sinking in, okay? Live, our online attendees, I can see it, it's sinking in. All right, here we go. Next question, who we got next? Yes, Kim, let's go. Academic advising, you will hear academic advising talked about a lot. There's gonna be wait times, confusing web pages to navigate. Do I use bookings? What do I use to make my appointment? Students, it is so important to figure it out because meeting with your academic advisor even every semester, even though you're super confident you know what you're doing, okay? Please meet with him, please. I bet you parents write that down, remind them every semester, okay? Now registration, you are going to be cruising, you're going to have just maybe barely survived midterms. And you know what we're going to come at you about? Right after you're in this vulnerable place of midterms, Spring registration, because why not, okay? It's the worst, I'm so sorry. It's real psychological warfare on our students. All right, Kim, we often see students who decide to change their major or pick up a different field of study that families may not be familiar with or see immediate value in. As parents, we know you want that high return on investment of your students' education and want them to be okay post-graduation. What is your advice as an advisor for first-generation college graduates and their families who may be unfamiliar with a particular major choice?
Okay, first I would say your student, when they come into college and they choose a major at 17, 18 years old. I had no idea what I wanted to do when I was 17, 18 years old. And it took going through my first year of college really to understand what college was, what I could get out of a major. And I did this by talking to my advisor, talking to my peers. So I would, if I had to give some advice to the parents, I would have them sit down with their student and talk about what are your life goals. I'm in engineering computer science, so I know if I have a student that comes in and wants to change their major out of engineering computer science, I will talk to them and say, hey, why did you choose this major in the first place? What did you love about it and what is difficult about it now? What do you love to do outside of engineering and computer science? And as we have these conversations with our students, this helps prep the students to go back and talk with their families about why they want to change, what value they can get out of it. And for families, I know it's scary, right? Because you sent your student into college with a path, with a determined path. But I would tell families that it's a journey. College is a journey. And your advisor is here to help the student through this journey. And if this includes changing a major, we want to have a conversation about it. Statistically, up to 30% of students change their major. I think it might be a little higher than that, actually. I want to say with a safe statistic. We see a lot of students change their major, and it's not anything that you should be worried about, and there's no stigma in it, there's no shame. And this is, again, where we want to encourage students to come in and talk to their advisor, form that relationship with your advisor, again, so we can talk you through the process. And another piece of advice I would give to families and students who are considering changing their major, look at, if you're going into a major and you're looking at jobs, right? Jobs are big deal, right? You want to get a career out of the major you're going into. Look at somebody who's in the field. Look at job searches. Look at job postings and see, okay, what kind of major, what kind of education do I need out of this? So it's kind of a reverse engineer job search. So you can kind of go backwards through and see, okay, if I change my major out of computer science into psychology, what can I do with that? And we can help talk through that process as well. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit.
No, that's perfect. And there are a lot of resources online too that we could point you to show the salary, the average salaries 1, 3, 5, 10 years out from every major at the university, literally. And we can talk to you about graduate school options as well. But coming to UT Dallas means you have an immediate cost, a benefit, ROI, return on the investment post-graduation, and all of our majors yield. We have very low debt for our students, okay? The other thing with academic advising too is we have courses that are, especially in engineering, highly sequential. And so if you take a course in the fall, you might need to take a very specific course in the spring and then the next fall. So meeting with advising ensures that you don't have any hiccups with those sequencing, those more nuanced things that happen in your degree program. For students, the biggest thing is meeting with your advisor gives you this sense of self-advocacy. You're going to go in prepared and you're going to have a list of questions, right, that you're going to be asking that academic advisor. But self-awareness too, constantly reflecting on, is the material I'm learning in my computer science classes coming naturally to me, or am I having to study really hard and I don't enjoy the material either? So having that reflection moment and mentioning that to your advisor is going to be really, really important. Because as first generation students, oftentimes our families might unintentionally reinforce doctor, lawyer, engineer type of pathways, right? With the understanding that that is how the student will secure that transgenerational financial wealth to make sure that they're happy. Okay, look at all the other professions represented on this panel. Okay, there are more choices, okay, in life, and we're all doing all right. So please reinforce that it is okay for your student to keep an open mind and pursue something that might be a better fit later.
If I can just add on a little something too, I got my master's in history, and now I'm the director of advising in engineering computer science. Career pathways they're not always linear.
I mean, be cool, Kim, don't tell me. What?
Hey, I know
I'm
her.
just kidding, I'm just kidding. She's highly qualified and amazing, okay? Julie, next. Okay, the bursar's office, we always joke it's important to know your bursar's office because they're the ones who take your money, but they give money, okay? So any refund that you might be getting from your financial package, they also ensure that you get that fast through direct deposit, things like that. And they're really good people to know if you are on a payment plan as well. They work very closely with our students. Sometimes you think you just sign up for that online, you're good to go for the rest of the semester. But if something happens and you need to talk to somebody about a payment you have coming up, now you have at least one face, right, from our First Generation Support Network on campus who you can go to. All right, Julie, what is the best advice you can give family members who are authorized users on their scholars' accounts when the family experiences some type of financial hardship? And how might they actually get access to their student account as well?
So as an authorized user, you have access to your students' information, bursar information. That's it. I'm going to just say that. You can call our office or email our office as an authorized user and we can share certain information with you. If you run into a problem where you have a financial hardship where maybe the next payment that's due, you're not going to be able to make that payment, I would suggest that you send an email. Emails are really important because you have your request, somebody answering you, hopefully solving your request or maybe asking a few more questions, and then hopefully you have a resolution, and then we have these things all in writing. And so if anything were to go wrong later, we all have these emails that say, whoops, I was supposed to cancel the payment plan or maybe stop the automatic withdrawal for the payment. So the first thing to do is to call us if you need instruction and email us. We have this amazing email system because we receive a lot of emails daily. We have this really cool system where tickets are assigned to somebody, and it looks a little bit anonymous, but if you drill down, it'll tell you who you're talking with, and then that will be your person, basically, for this question. I won't answer it, and then it will go to someone else, and they'll say, wait, what? So it's a good system, and that's how we make sure that you get your answer. So financial hardships, very difficult. It does create issues because your tuition and your student's tuition must be paid before you can move on. And so yes, we want communication and we want it as early as possible. And that goes for the students too. Please don't wait until the last minute because sometimes if you wait too long, there's just no way we can help you. But as soon as something happens, financial hardship, first of all, we want to find out if maybe you need to go back to the financial aid office and see if maybe you qualify for something on there and if something has changed drastically. And then again, I can't tell you what the answer is going to be because we've heard it all and we still hear new stuff. But please reach out to us. You're going to reach a member of the bursar office. If you are speaking to a student worker and you want to speak to someone else, please ask for a supervisor. You'll get transferred to one of us. And again, we're going to tell you to email us, but we can offer you additional information. So I am rambling now, but
that's good.
it's early. Yeah, call us early. Reach out to us. Let's start to get a solution so that it doesn't stop your student from registering for the next semester. And that is really what the consequence is.
That's exactly what I was going to
Yeah.
add, Julie, too. Kind of in conclusion of her point was Kim's office might be reaching out to you about preparing for course registration for the next semester, right, as an academic advising team. However, if you have an unpaid tuition balance, you will have what's called a hold on your account, okay? And that has various different impacts depending on the type of hold. One could be that you're not allowed to register for the next semester. And so that's why understanding how these offices all work together and the implications is really important. That's really great, Julie. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And y'all are already doing better than I was as an undergrad, okay? I was from the Texas Panhandle, okay, rural area. I called it, not bursar, bursar, like bursar, like that, for like forever, okay? Now I know bursar, and you can say it and not be judged by people. Okay, Olivia. Can you share with first generation families about your role in the Center for Brain Health and why it's so important for their scholar to seek out experiential opportunities such as the Brain Health Scholars Program?
Absolutely. I also forgot to mention I did get my master's from here, also in BBS, Applied Cognition and Neuroscience. Started off psychology undergrad is what changed my mind, and it's changed along the way. So I wanted to say, yes, it is not linear. I didn't think I would be doing this when I first started a long time ago when Derek said he was born. And so, yeah, do not get freaked out about changing a major, but also really important about financial aid and changing stuff. Before dropping a class, also talk to your advisor because it could impact your funding. Okay, so that's just something I wanted to share. But I'm at the Center for Brain Health, and my job is a community outreach manager, which means I'm out here trying to educate students on brain health. So we are trying to reach more young people because right now your brain is in its peak years, and you're like, I don't need any help, I'm great. And it's like when you get older and you're like, what's the word for that thing? Or what's that name? That's when people like start worrying about their brain. But just like your heart, you can start doing things now to help your brain be better as you get older. And also good news for parents or other individuals in here who are not in their 20s. There are great strategies out there that the Center for Brain Health, you could look at our website, has for increasing your brain health. You can actually reverse the aging on your brain, and so that's what my job is. But I'm here today to talk about first gen things, and you've heard already connection. Relationships. You all, please, when you walk into your class, do not get on your phone or computer first. Talk to a fellow student, make those connections. Get involved. Research shows repeatedly, if you are involved in things on campus, you are likely to have better well-being, be a happier and healthier student, and you're going to make those connections that can help you. So like, you may not know how to do something, but a person in your club or organization may be knowing the person you need to connect with. Or they'll think of you for something. When I got to know professors in undergrad, they're like, oh, there's this thing, it's called McNair Scholars, and you would be good for it. And that's how I ended up getting my master's degree, because I was the first one in my family to get a master's degree. Not the first to get a bachelor's, but my parents were first to get bachelor's degrees. I didn't know how to get into grad school. I didn't know I had to do internships as an undergrad. So I wish I would have known that earlier. And at the Center for Brain Health, we have something called the Brain Health Scholars Program. It is open to any student, undergrad or graduates level, any accredited university in the United States, any major, because brain health is for everyone. We have the person in charge of one of our programs has a Master of Fine Arts. He does computer game development. He's not a neuroscientist. You don't have to be a neuroscientist for brain health to be for you. We have students in community colleges who are doing culinary. They're learning about brain healthy food. Like what you drink, what you consume, what you put in your body affects your brain health. Y'all don't be drinking caffeine at 2 o'clock in the morning to pull an all-nighter because it's bad for your brain and it's bad for your memory and you won't do as well on that test as you think you will. I wish I would have known that as an undergrad. Okay? All-nighters are not good ideas. So I have with me, and I can also share it, but I have some cards, and if you're interested in the Brain Health Scholars Program, there's a QR code on the back of it. You can sign up. It's just saying, hey, I'm interested in more information. So when our application goes live for the spring, you'll be the first ones to know. And you'll get first crack at that application and consideration. We're only funded for 16 spots right now, but it is a paid internship. And we had over 150 applicants last year, and it was our 3rd year. I'd like to see more first-gen students in there. We had a lot of first-gen students that were kind of afraid to apply, and they got encouraged, and they're going to come here, and some of them are watching right now on Hello, Brain Health Scholars, that are coming to UTD in the fall from community colleges. And so you guys have a great, great network of people here that want you to succeed. I encourage you before you leave today, both parents and students, make connections with one another in the room. Because parents, you're also doing this for the first time. And I'm a parent. I know sometimes I want to talk to other parents about, hey, are you questions if you guys aren't clear. Everybody will try and help you. And also, when you're applying to grad school, if you've been in an internship or research, you're getting to know those faculty, those researchers, those fellow students. I can't tell you how many letters of rec I've written now, but I had to know those students. And it's those personal stories of how they got to where they are, and then sometimes the challenges they've overcome or the great things they've done. That's what the readers of those letters care about. They don't care. There's a million students that have straight A's. There's a million students that were president of whatever. But if the professor can say, I know this student did this amazing thing, and here's the story behind it. If they can write that in your rec letter, that's going to make a difference. If they're willing to get on the phone with somebody who's not sure about giving you money for grad school or whatever the internship is, they'll pick up the phone and say, no, I know Dr. Brody. Well, they probably give it to her because she's Dr. Brody, but, I have a story about how I saw her help a fellow student in class or whatever it may be. Get out there, find the things you're interested in, the things that you're passionate about. Those are the things that are going to make you happy, want to stay, and continue to flourish. And they don't have to be in your same major. Okay? That's the other thing. Go across, because you never know when you're going to need to make those connections later in life. I'm not a math person. I'll just say that. It's okay. I have a sorority sister who has a PhD in statistics. When I went back to grad school, statistics had me in knots. It had been 20 years since we'd seen each other in person, but we'd stayed in touch. Guess who I called to help me with my homework? Guess who got me through statistics? My sorority sister. If I wouldn't have rushed as an upperclassman, now it's called recruitment, I might not have ever known her because she was a math major. I was a psych major. And we're still friends all these years later. That connection, and I'm potentially now gonna partner with her on a project. So make those connections now. Parents, make those connections with one another too. Be each other's support system. Cheer each other on. Get involved. And do the internships, especially if you can find ones that are paid. Ours pays $1,000 at the end, and it's only 1 month long. A little plug there. So if you're interested, I will share the information to be shared with you, but also I have cards in my pocket, and I'm happy to talk to you about that or anything else with college or life, because we've all been there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Olivia. And we have the Center for Brain Health. You'll see them again because parents, we have them come give the message to our students about the importance of sleep. Okay, sleep is very important, students, and you can only retain about 40 minutes of information at a time is what we also have them reinforce, so please keep that in mind when you're developing your study habits and work best for you. All right, big star. In the video, you mentioned having to have conversations with your mother about redefining your role with taking care of your family while attending college. Can you share a bit more about how you two have navigated that together?
Yes, so me and my mom are very close. I grew up in a single mother household. So it was just me, her, and my little brother. So I grew up having to take care of him a lot of the times. And that translated in high school. Like in high school, I did take him to his sports practices. I made sure he got his homework done. And she made sure that she was working, that she was putting food on the table, etc. But I'm commuting from college. So it's about a 30-minute drive. So I'm still, I guess in their eyes, it's the same for them. Like I should be there how I am in high school, but that's just not the case. I do have gaps in my schedule, but it's not gaps that you can go back home and like take your brother somewhere, or you can go back home and you can like pick up medication for your grandparents. It's just, even if it's an hour is not enough. Even if it's 2 hours, it's not enough. Time isn't, whatever time you have as a break, it's not really real. Like you really should be studying, you should be making relationships, you should just be staying on campus. I think staying on campus, especially as a commuting student, is very important. Even though your college experience isn't necessarily traditional, you can get the most out of it by staying on campus, by making friends, by being involved. I'm joining the pickleball club this semester. You guys should join me. I'm really good, like actually really good. I played tennis in high school, so.
That's perfect. I think that's a good message because what we are going to be reinforcing in all of our programming for your students is that their number one identity now, as of that first day of classes, is student first, okay? And that is often very difficult for parents or other family members to reconcile when they're coming like, hey, could you take your little brother to this? No, I'm studying for a biochemistry exam, but will she have the courage to say that first? And can we encourage you all to be thinking about, before you ask that, first asking what they have going on related to school, because we want that student identity to be number one for their time here at UT Dallas, because that's how we can ensure they get the most out of their experience, okay? So thank you in advance for helping us with that. Derek, do we have any questions in the chat that we want to address from our live stream attendees?
Not in the chat, just
Okay.
I'm going to prompt them. But
Okay.
if anybody has any questions here, we
Yeah, let's
have
take
Jay who will bring you the mic.
So with regarding financial aid and Bursara, just to understand how it goes when we have like a final note of what need to be paid. We've got different messages, sometimes the first day of school, and then you mentioned it's like we need to squeeze the time, there are like few days from that point till the last day that we can pay. So how it goes.
So from a financial aid standpoint, if everything is ready to go, all of the boxes have been checked, all of the aid has been accepted, the most important thing is the number of hours that they're enrolled in matches the number of hours that we package them for financial aid. Then around the first day of classes, we're going to give everything over to the bursar's office and they're going to apply it to their balance. So right now, any bill or balance that you're seeing is without the financial aid applied. You won't see it applied until around that first day of classes.
You talked a little bit about when and dates. The bursar's office, we're the one that enforce the dates, the payment due dates. If your student is receiving emails, or you are, or your student is receiving phone calls, or you are, from the bursar's office, it's very generic. Please make sure that your account is up to date. We will not send those phone calls to you or the emails to you if your balance is good. So if you're receiving that, I would suggest that either you or the student call, because as Sarah mentioned, let's say financial aid awarded you or the student as a full-time 12-hour student, okay? But then you later are like, oh, I don't need that class, and there's not another class to take the place. So now you're only enrolled in 9 credits. The financial aid is actually not going to disperse to your bursar account. And we will drop students for non-payment if we don't hear from you and the payment deadline has passed. And if you want your student to get re-enrolled in those classes, it is prohibitively expensive in my opinion. So again, if the bursar's office is reaching out to you, even if you are a financial aid recipient and you fully expect your financial aid is on the account, if you hear from us, please reach out and say, someone just called me, what is wrong with the account? Because we can help you until that payment deadline comes in and you're dropped for classes, and then we get to the point where it's like, it's too late. So please just keep that in mind. And if you're a student, please don't be afraid to call. We're not gonna be like, what have you done here? This is very bad. We're gonna go, oh, you know what it looks like? It looks like you have to contact financial aid and fill out an hours adjustment form. Or it looks like you didn't complete some of your loan documentation. Very easy to fix it. Or there may be something on our end. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us, because again, the due dates that you mentioned, they're a little bit confusing. The student has their due date posted in their Galaxy Orion Student Center in their bursar tile. So that is the date, that is your due date. And it's not super flexible, so make sure that you have set up everything by that date.
Yeah, and we do have academic calendars out at our table on the back of that. So the front page is are the academic dates, okay? The important, like when are your finals, the last day to add or drop classes, that sort of thing. On the back of that is a payment schedule. So depending upon your payment plan, you will see your dates there too. And that is also posted online. You can just search academic calendar. That is something that's really important to know and check every semester. And the voice is a little serious, okay, with bursar calls. So, but now you've been here, don't panic when you hear that serious voice, okay? Now you know who to contact, okay? So don't panic. You know to contact them directly. They're very nice, okay?
Yeah, and we also have a chat feature. So if you don't want to call us and you don't want to email us, click on that chat feature and one of our team members will respond to you.
I actually have a lot of experience with that because I call them like, I call them a lot. Every time I get an email, I just call them. I read it briefly to see what I'm confused about, and then I just pick the phone and I'm like, hey, can you help me please? And they've always been so nice. So my first semester, I did end up dropping a class, and then I called them immediately. I was like, hey, I want to drop this. Is that okay for my financial aid package? And they said, yeah, you can because I'm taking more than 12 hours. If I weren't taking more than 12 hours, I probably would have dropped it for financial aid, but I was luckily able to. And then I took summer classes, and financial aid covered that for me as well. And I applied to 2 summer classes, but I didn't do the hours adjustment form. And I didn't get an email about that. And I was like, oops, I'm going to call them. And she was just like, okay, search this up, fill this out, and you're good. They're very nice.
Love you. See? All right, next question.
First of all, thank you so much for organizing this. In the last 45 minutes, I've learned a lot. I hope the same for other parents here as well. And I love the fact that it's starting with the end in mind. We are sitting here for first gen family, first day orientation. We're already talking about graduate programs and about workforce. I just love that. So on that note, I have a question about, we hear from my colleagues about fast tracking and completing the 4 years in 2.5 years, in 3 years. Is that viable? Is it advisable? What would be your recommendation on that topic?
Maybe you want to go ahead? Add as needed?
Yes, we do offer fast track here. So I can only speak on engineering and computer science, and then Dr. Brody and Dr. Burkeen can help support this in other departments. But it's 5 years for us, for a master's. So we can start fast tracking in your senior year. And if you talk to your advisor that you want to start fast tracking towards a master's and then maybe get into that PhD program, go straight from bachelor's to PhD program, talk to your advisor about that and we'll help set you up for fast tracking. So for us, it's 5 years in engineering and computer science.
And every program is different. Something we talk a lot about too is called an academic catalog. So in the catalog, you can find the fast track requirements depending upon the area of interest you have, right, or your school. And you can see those. It's typically at 90 hours when you'll start talking to your academic advisor about, hey, I'm interested in this. How does it work exactly? Because there are some nuances. Some courses you select to have applied to your undergraduate degree. And when that matriculation closes, when you become a graduate student, how does that affect things like your financial aid? Again, meeting with your academic advisor and expressing those interests very early in your career has a lot of value in navigating those more unique academic processes. I will also say an event we do with Dr. Brody is related to, is a master's degree worth it right away? Do you want to wait? What's kind of the return on your longer term career investment, or should you go straight PhD? Should you go to a Psych D? Whatever it might be. So we also have those events and we strongly encourage students to participate in, because sometimes you might automatically assume that if you get a graduate degree, you're going to get higher earnings. Whereas if you sit down one-on-one with us, we could show you some data. We have a ton of data from previous students, right? And it's all from tax documents, Texas Workforce Commission data. So it's really good, and we can go and we can click through. Oh, you only end up making marginally more on the back end of your first 10 years. So if you need higher earnings right away, a master's degree might not have a high return on that investment for you. So we'll have those types of conversations as well. Go ahead, sorry.
I just want to add something in terms of financial aid and fast tracking. In the year where you're kind of in between your bachelor's and your graduate program, you'll want to definitely really make that relationship and reach out to your academic advisor to ensure that the graduate level courses that you're taking are applicable to your undergraduate program. Because from a financial aid standpoint, you're only going to be receiving financial aid for classes that are applicable to your current program. So if you're taking graduate level courses that aren't applicable to your undergraduate program, while that's great and they're still going to apply towards that graduate degree, you're not going to be receiving financial aid for those classes.
I have something to add really quick, based on what Sarah said. Bursar, we do the billing, so we have the tuition rates. If you fast track in your undergraduate degree and you're not yet in the master's officially, we can only charge you undergraduate tuition for the graduate classes, which are quite expensive. So that is another benefit, and benefit beyond that is if your student takes more than 12 credit hours, you will not be charged tuition past the 12 credit hours. You may pay fees, but you will not pay tuition past 12. So if your student ends up, like I said, taking a graduate class, you're going to be charged undergraduate fees, and if they're taking 15 credits, you're only going to be charged for the 12.
And there are a lot of considerations there too. We have a lot of students work at UT Dallas, which a lot of people assume a full-time student might not be working, but at UT Dallas, it's upwards of between 60 and 70% of the incoming students who report that they will be working in some form or fashion during their undergraduate career. So when you start fast tracking and you add those grad classes in, which the difference is they are more time intensive, please be very kind and be thinking and encouraging your students to reduce work, or if you have the financial flexibility to explore their options so that they can really devote that time to ensuring a strong foundation of success in the graduate courses. All right, next question. Yes.
I actually have quite a few questions.
Yes, that's what we want to hear.
So as you said, financial aid will be applied by like the 19th, like the first day of school. Will it immediately apply to payment plans by lowering the price then? And that way we can pay payment plans by the 29th? Or like, I'm just kind of confused on how that's gonna work.
Have you already set up the payment plan, or you're wanting to
No,
set up?
I'm wanting to set up a payment plan.
Okay, so Julie, you might be better and able to answer this, but when your financial aid is applied on the first day of class, it will be applied to your current balance. If you go to set up the payment plan at that point, Julie can give you more information about how that would look in terms of payments.
So students who receive financial aid will get what's called an extended payment deadline. And that gives you about 10 days past the regular payment deadline to make your payment. That gives all of us time financially to maybe get aid on your account, Bursar to receive those funds. So I personally think it's best to let your financial aid disperse to your account. You know the deadline. As soon as your financial aid is there, you need to start thinking about setting up the installment plan then. And then your question is, when does it apply? When you set up your installment plan, it will say that your first payment plus the $25 setup fee is due that day. But as you progress through, I agree to this, these are the payments, this is how much it will be. I want you to keep in mind that you're going to see that great big number first, your full tuition. It doesn't subtract the financial aid until you get to the final steps. And it will say payment number 1 is due today, amount due, it should say 0 if you have enough financial aid. And then you'll see how much of the financial aid pays your, how much your financial aid is paying towards your installment plan. Because you may look at payment 2 and payment 3, and those amounts are 0 as well. And then you would only have that 4th payment. So I would wait until your financial aid has dispersed. If you are nervous and you just want to set it up ahead of time, it automatically adjusts once your financial aid is dispersed. But remember, you have those 10 days to look at everything, make your considerations, and then set it up.
And the timing is really important, so I really appreciate that question, because your aid could, if you get a refund, depending on cost of attendance and what you're getting, those first 3 weeks, you may or may not get that refund. And so it's really important, while I have the families captive, for me to strongly encourage you, if you can go ahead and purchase some of the books you know for sure that you will need for those that first week of class. That's really important. We have textbook rental options as well. Sometimes students end up waiting to see how it all shakes out, and it can be going into the 3rd week, and I'm like, you don't have your books? Don't do that to me. Go ahead and get your books if you can, okay? All right, your next question.
Going with the same type of question, how would that work if I pay full tuition then? Would it also apply, should I wait for the financial aid to apply and then pay the tuition after that subtracts?
That's always our recommendation, is to wait for your financial aid to apply on the first day of class. That's why I give you guys the extended payment deadline, so that you have a little time to allow that financial aid to apply before you have a payment due. In which case, if you've done that and your financial aid is applied, then you have until the 29th to make that other remaining payment in full. But, I'm sorry? Not as long as you have that extended payment deadline. So if you have the extended payment deadline of the 29th, there's no fees until after the 29th. But if you do make the payment ahead of time, like you make the payment now in full, then when your financial aid is applied, you'll receive a refund.
Yes, that's correct.
Also, can we buy parking passes anytime during the semester, or is it exclusively only, because I know they just opened up, I think, this week. Is it exclusively only before, or like in the beginning, or can we buy it throughout the semester?
Parking will take your money anytime, okay? Karen will tell you anytime. So however you want to handle that, if you want to just take that parking earlier.
We were just So if you're going to be here for 2 semesters, you want to get the most out of your money, like pay it directly up front, pay whichever poison you want to pick, and then go ahead with it. But say you're not doing first semester and you're going to be starting second semester. When you pay then, it's going to be a much less, it's a cheaper price.
They will program.
They do,
Yeah.
at least.
Yes.
So it's whenever you want to do it, but you just have to.
And we'll start ticketing you on September 1st.
Yes, yes.
And they don't play. Sorry, they don't play. Like, they're yeah, they're very serious. And if you think you can like sneak it in somewhere, like sneak in your car somewhere, they're gonna find it. I've gotten 2 tickets. I've only been here for 1 year. And this is my last question. So I have an Alex to-do list item, but I've already taken some dual credit, like math credits that haven't transferred yet. I sent it in June 3rd. I know that's before or after the June 1st deadline. But will this affect any registration or my scheduling since the to-do list item has not been checked off yet?
No.
Okay, so it's my fault that we are strongly encouraging students to take the ALEX regardless of credit taken in high school. But the reason for that, the short answer is no, it doesn't limit your registration for the math courses, and you can coordinate with your academic advising team now to go ahead and make sure you're in the appropriate math, get that all confirmed, make sure your credits apply correctly on your degree plan that you're bringing in from high school. Parents, just know the reason that we are encouraging students to take the ALEX regardless of that is we are using that data with the math department, the Office of Undergraduate Education, because that provides us valuable data. We then provide your math professors to say, hey, this is what the students in your classroom are looking like in terms of their math preparedness, okay? Just because you placed into calculus, it doesn't necessarily mean that you killed it in trig, which we know is extremely important. I'm sorry, I didn't mean, she did great, I'm not pointing at her, sorry, to be clear. In trig, and so that they can adjust their curriculum to best serve the students in their classroom setting. So, no, it won't affect your classes right now, and double check your credit application.
Yes, Dr. Burkina is absolutely right. We are encouraging ALEX. We're requiring ALEX for every single incoming student, regardless of credit earned prior. But to-do list items are not holds. Holds are separate from to-do list items, and they will not prevent you from registering.
Thank you.
Perfect, and we're right at time actually, but our panelists, those who are able to do so will stay for a little bit to answer additional questions if they're able to. But please join me in giving them a round of applause for joining us on a Saturday. Thank you all for your time as well. I'll check on the lunch setup, but your next session is going to be Capital One. And this session was so special last year. It was our first year to do it. If you are interested in learning about what credit means, how to manage your finances, and why it's important to you now as a family unit, but as a student and as a family, in those identities, please stay for that. That will be